Mercedes Schlapp is a White House senior communications advisor. She joins us from our nation's capital. Mercedes, going in, I'm sure the White House had some advice for him. Was one of the pieces of advice, you better look like you're fighting?
You know what? I've known Brett Kavanaugh for a long time, and he's a fighter. And he knew so well that it was his moment to tell the world that he was innocent of this charge, that it is because of his fine reputation, one where he has served our nation honorably for over 25 years, to be able to share his story. And the mere fact that you've had the Democrats mistreat him in a way, mishandle this process, is a complete outrage. The mere fact that Senator Feinstein sat on this letter for over 60 days and did nothing, said nothing, and then all of a sudden there's this leak that came out right before there was this vote that was going to happen on Judge Kavanaugh. And Judge Kavanaugh came with the facts. He opened his heart and he spoke the truth. And I think from there, it's just so telling of the fact that this man deserves to be on the Supreme Court.
So what we heard yesterday over and over again to Brett Kavanaugh is if they had short-term memory loss, every Democratic lawmaker, why don't you call for an FBI investigation? Why don't you tell the White House? Look at Don McGahn was saying, Senator Dick Durbin, say call for an FBI investigation. Why wouldn't you?
Let's remember that the people who are calling for the FBI investigation, they've already made up their mind. They've decided that they're voting no on Brett Kavanaugh. From day one, since he was nominated, these Democrats came out in full force. They said they would do everything they could to stop him. And that's when they started to drag his name in the mud. That's when these accusations came out. And I'm very sympathetic towards Dr. Ford. Obviously, she has gone through some sort of trauma. But with that being said, there was a lack of facts. There was inconsistency. And there came Judge Kavanaugh with his facts, being consistent in his story, and also and being able to talk about how many people who have known him for all of his life about his character. This has been a character assassination by the Democrats. They should be ashamed of themselves on what they have done in terms of belittling this man, this fine man who has dedicated his life to public service, who has been a very good family man, a good friend to so many of us, and has promoted women during his career. So it's just outstanding that the Democrats would go so low, and that was the display that they showed. The public display that the Democrats showed yesterday was the fact that we knew that this was a political witch hunt against Judge Kavanaugh. So for them to say, oh, let's go with the FBI investigation, why can't we do that? No. They want to buy time. They want to buy 2 more months, get through this election. They are not interested at all on the conclusions or the results. Let's remember that this committee, Senate committee, has thoroughly investigated. They have done what they could to depoliticize this process, and the Republicans as well have done what they could to reach out to Dr. Ford, even offered to go over to California, and she wasn't even aware of it. Why? Because her lawyers are pro-Democrat political operatives, of course, referred to by Senator Feinstein.
I did like how they held the Democrats accountable for things that they had said in the past. I mean, Lindsey Graham looked at them and said, you have even said, Senator, that you wanted to delay, that you didn't want him to go through, you want to delay, and then you want to win in November. And then Kavanaugh actually looked at each of the Democrats that had said things about his character. He said, you've called me evil before. He said that you said you're going to oppose me with everything you have. He said those who support me are complicit in evil. Some of you said that. Some of you called me your worst nightmare. And he said, I'm a guy who has worked so hard my entire life, and you're tainting my reputation, and it will never be the same. What was your reaction when he was calling people out face to face?
He was so transparent and so honest and so right. And it's exactly what we all needed to hear, which was the fact that he called the Democrats out. He called the liberal media out. Why? Because for 10 days, there's these stories that have actually been out in the media that have been completely false, that they just run with on Brett Kavanaugh, going as far as basically saying that he's running some sort of gang rape circle is just outrageous. And so what you've had is so many of his friends who knew him back then. When you're talking about the fact that Democrats are talking about a high school yearbook, are we kidding ourselves?
Yeah.
How far is this getting? And so for Brett Kavanaugh to bring it back to what really matters, which is the Supreme Court, which is this institution of respect.
Right.
Of professionalism, of the fact that he said that he will be an independent judge. And he
Gotcha.
has all the qualifications for it. It's his time, and it's time for the Senate to vote.
Well, and it looks like the Judiciary Committee is going to vote today. Mercedes, we've got some breaking news. Apparently, Fox is confirming that the House conservatives and the Republican leadership have reached a deal to bring in Rod Rosenstein to question him about that New York Times article. Not clear if Rosenstein will respond to the request, but Fox has told the Judiciary Committee and/or Oversight could subpoena him. What does the White House think of that?
Well, we'll see. The president will be talking with Rod Rosenstein, I believe, next week, and I don't want to get ahead of any of those conversations.
And the president will be talking to him next week?
I think that is the plan, yes.
They spoke yesterday?
I am not aware.
But the president was busy watching the hearing all day instead, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
He did come back from UNGA. Obviously, it was an incredibly successful trip, and then was watching the hearing.
Right,
And the president is very proud of Brett Kavanaugh, as he made very clear this was a search and destroy mission by the Democrats. And just watching Judge Kavanaugh's powerful testimony, sharing that with the American people.
What was
I
his
think is
reaction to
something that's
Lindsey
very
Graham?
important.
Did he say anything about that?
I'm not aware. I've not spoken to the president, but I got to tell you, there was a moment here where Senator Graham just really hit a home run, and he really expressed all the outrage that so many of us have felt for so long watching the Democrats try to destroy Kavanaugh. And so very proud of what Senator Graham did.
Because he's a friend of yours.
And Sarah Sanders tweeted out, God bless him. Thank you very much, Mercedes, for joining us live from the White House.